US universities do offer up to 100% scholarship for some deserving students. What you scored in your primary school, what you scored in your high school, what you scored in your O levels, what you scored in your A levels. 90% of the universities and colleges in the US are need aware, and when they look at your profile and when you have filled a CSS profile with that, the university will be aware that you have applied for some sort of financial assistance or some kind of scholarship. When you apply for a CSS profile, there's a very small fee associated with it. So for the first college, it's gonna cost you about $25. Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is 𝗘𝗶𝗀𝗶𝘳, the Executive Director for Edify Elite, a project of Edify Group of Companies. We have made many videos guiding you about your admissions in top tier universities. We have told you about scholarships and financial aids. I have specifically spoken about them in my previous videos. But I did feel the need that we need to make a specific video on the different types of financial aid and scholarships available to international students in the US, and that is going to be the subject of our video today. So if you have not followed and subscribed to our page, please do so and do tell your friends about it as well. So let's start today's video. When we talk about US, we have already made a lot of content. We have spoken about how you can get into a top tier university, or how do you basically apply to a US university in general. We have talked about the different aspects that come into this. We have talked about the different criteria, the different requirements that each and every university looks into, ranging from the top tier universities to mid tier universities. I have previously also mentioned this, but for the sake of video, I would like to mention this again, that US universities, there's a great variety of US universities. There are more than 5,000 US universities, and US universities are basically the most generous in giving out financial aid and scholarship to international students. The variety, you can say catalog of universities is greater. There is more choice for international students to choose from, and the number of universities, the opportunities that come along with that great number are increased. So let's jump to the point. Let's talk about scholarship and financial aid. One thing I would like to make clear in the start of this video is that when we talk about financial aid applications, when we talk about scholarships, we need to understand that this needs to happen at the time of your application. Many students do not realize this fact, and many deserving students miss out on this opportunity because they are either not aware of this, or they are just careless about the fact that they need to make those applications happen before the deadline. One other thing I would like to make clear, that there are two deadlines when it comes down to US universities. One is your university deadline, application deadline, and one is your scholarship application deadline. So a student needs to be aware of both of them. I would also like to say that US universities do offer up to 100% scholarship for some deserving students. Again, my focus is on the point some. Not everyone is eligible and not everyone can get these scholarships. But with the right guidance, with the right counseling, with the right amount of hard work, there can be a great number of students who can avail these opportunities, who can avail scholarships ranging from 50% to 70% to 90%, or even 100% scholarship. So their study would basically be free, and they would receive their undergraduate education for free. Now this video is going to be a two-part video. The first video, in this video we're going to talk about undergraduate, and in the next video we'll talk about the postgraduate scholarship and types of financial aid. So let's start with the first category. There are two categories. The first is merit based and the second is need based. So when we're first going to talk about the merit based. When we talk about merit-based scholarships, there are no separate applications you need to make in order for you to basically get those merit scholarships. You do not have to fill out a separate form. However, some universities and colleges do require you. I have seen this throughout my years of consultancy, throughout my years of counseling, that some universities would like you to write a short essay telling them basically why you deserve this scholarship or why the university should give you this scholarship, why you qualify, or what aspects have led you to such a position that the university should give you a merit-based scholarship. Now the focus over here is on merit. So the only thing that the university is interested is in your academic prowess or your academic achievements. So that can be your primary and secondary education, what you scored in your primary school, what you scored in your high school, what you scored in your O levels, what you scored in your A levels. If we talk about Pakistan specifically, what you scored in your matriculation, what you scored in your secondary education, the board education. You should also note that the university does take some other things into consideration, such as if you're giving an advanced exam such as your AP exams. Unfortunately, only some schools, a very limited number of schools in Pakistan, offer AP courses. University does take into account your SAT scores, SAT scores, and if you have any advanced level courses that you have taken, that can be helpful for your purposes regarding a merit-based scholarship. What the university is not interested in, or what the university does not consider when they think about your merit-based scholarship, is your English proficiency exams such as your IELTS, TOEFL marks. And to some extent, when we talk about merit scholarships, however, for the university, when you're getting an admission in a university, for your application, your extracurriculars and your co-curricular activities are very, very important. But when we talk about merit-based scholarships specifically, the extracurriculars are somewhere on the back end, because these kind of scholarships are just based on merit. Okay, moving on. If you, and I hope so many of you after watching this video, apply and do get a merit-based scholarship, but when you do get a merit-based scholarship, it does say so on your offer letter. So you can easily identify that you got a merit-based scholarship. There are different types of merit-based scholarships, such as the presidential scholarship, the trustees, or the founders scholarship. Now, one interesting fact or one interesting thing about the USA is that there are certain reasons why US universities are so generous. They can be that they get a good fund, or they get some kind of you can say funding from the state. There are many philanthropists in the US. The highest number of billionaires in the world are in the US. So a lot of those billionaires do believe in philanthropy, and they give universities, or the universities they have studied in, or any other university that it is to their liking, they do give them a huge chunk of money. Other than that, there are certain organizations, certain groups that do fund these universities. They do it out of the kindness of their heart, so students don't go through the heavy burden of taking out loans from banks for their education, or their parents come into the pressure of like selling off their assets in order to pay for the students' tuition fund, and some students just pass on the opportunity because they cannot pay for the tuition fee. So there are many reasons why US universities are so generous, but all of those reasons work for our benefit. Like recently I got word, I was reading some articles and I got word from a dear friend of mine that Michael R. Bloomberg has given a $1 billion fund to Johns Hopkins University, and because of that kindness, most students in their different programs, especially their medical programs, are going to study for free. So what they wrote down, or what I got word of, was that for households that are making up to $300,000 per year, they're gonna get partial scholarship, and for families, households that are making under $175,000 per annum, they are gonna get a full ride, and most of their students are gonna study for free. So you need to keep in mind, you need to like research into universities that have some sort of that they post something, or they give out information that basically tells you that this university did receive some fund and this university is going to be extra generous this year. So this is a fun thing you can not even fun, this is a very practical thing which you can look into and be smarter about and apply to those colleges which are being more generous in the year you're applying. We're gonna move to the second type of scholarships, but before, I just missed one thing. I'm just going to talk about that. So when closing of merit-based scholarships are renewable each year, and this consideration does require you to keep your grades up. If you have a certain decline, or if you fall to the bottom end of your batch and you do not keep your grades up, the merit-based scholarship can be revoked. So you need to keep your grades up. When I say merit-based scholarship, there are very, very, very rare instances where merit-based scholarships do amount to 100%. They can range from $5,000, $10,000 to $20,000. But so merit-based scholarships very, very rarely range to 100% full ride. But when we talk about full rides, we'll move on to the next category, that is the need-based scholarships. So when we look at the need-based scholarship, the second type, the first thing you need to understand is that you need to fill out a CSS profile. You need to fill out this profile. Each university and each college does not highlight this because obviously institution would never want all the students to apply for a need-based scholarship, so they don't highlight this. But and somewhat this is the reason that some students do not are not aware of this fact. But there are such scholarships available, and they have a separate deadline. So when I was talking before about deadlines, so the university has their own deadline, and the need-based scholarship, the CSS profile for each college, they have a separate deadline. So you need to be very vigilant about these deadlines. For this, you need to fill out the CSS profile. This is basically a financial aid application which takes into account different considerations such as your parents' income, your household yearly expenses, your assets, your liabilities, your how many siblings do you have, and a lot more considerations. So this is a very detailed form which you need to fill out. You might need to attach some evidence with that in order to qualify your statement, whatever you're saying, or whatever income you have alleged to the university, that income is true and correct to your knowledge. So you do need to fill out this quite detailed and complex. It's not very, very complex, but it is kind of complex for someone who is not associated or has not filled out such applications before. So it's always good to have someone guiding you on these points. So basically, when you fill out these profiles, the CSS profile, the university judges you on the based on these considerations how much need you would require. I do tell this, and this is something that I believe in. I do tell my students that the university judges your need on the household income of an average American household. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna calculate your income into dollars. And whenever living in the subcontinent, when you convert something to dollars, you're always gonna fall short. So this is something good for us, in a blessing in disguise, that they judge it on an American household's income, and when we convert it to our income in, let's say, rupees or any currency in the subcontinent, we kind of always fall short, and we do qualify for these scholarships. I would like to tell you that these kind of scholarships are very relevant. So when even in my last video, I did talk about the difference between need blind and need aware. So there are colleges, the top colleges in the US, including the Ivy League universities, are need blind. Not every university, top universities, need blind. There is a great variety of universities that are need blind. So basically, if you get into that university, they do not consider within your application that you need funds to pay for your tuition. And if you get in, and if you don't have money, the university will give you how much ever funding you need, or how much ever scholarship or financial aid you need. When we talk about need aware colleges, now 90% of the universities and colleges in the US are need aware, and when they look at your profile, and when you have filled a CSS profile with that, the university will be aware that you have applied for some sort of financial assistance or some kind of scholarship. So the university does take that into consideration, and it, to a smaller extent, but it might be one of the reasons the university rejects you, that you applied for a financial aid. And let's say if a university, and you need to understand, this is a very important point. When you apply to a university, let's say 1,000 students have applied to a university, and the university can only fund about 500 to 600 of those applicants. They will take your relevance into consideration. They will pit you against those other candidates and see that who comes out on top, who is more deserving, who has a better profile for their university, and they will give that funding to that student. Now, I've seen students who mindlessly just apply to the 8 Ivy League universities, or apply to all universities that are need blind, and then they are basically face disappointment because the university does not give them an admission, or does not give them that financial aid. So when you apply to a university, you need to have that mixture of both things. You need to have a mixture of universities that are need blind. I will also like to tell you that when you apply for a CSS profile, there's a very small fee associated with it. So for the first college, it's gonna cost you about $25, and for each subsequent CSS profile, it is going to cost you $16. And just a final thought, just something in the end, that is that most 100% scholarship, or most full rides, do come as a mixture of merit-based scholarship and financial assistance. So you can get a $10,000 merit-based scholarship, and the rest would be your financial assistance from the university, which comes out to about 100% scholarship, or sometimes it even exceeds that number. It can go up to 120%. So university does give you some extra money, or you get to save some extra money, which you can spend for your food allowance, your daily essentials, your commute, your accommodations. So this was our entire understanding on undergraduate, financial aid and scholarships. There are some things in the video which you need to pay special attention to, such as the deadlines, such as the CSS profile. Now at Edify Elite, what we have done is we have comprised, or we have made entire lists of each deadline. We have made samples of how to fill out CSS profile. We have been doing this for years. We have made detailed videos on each and every aspect of your Common App application, and we basically have one-on-one sessions with each of our clients, in which we tell them how to fill out their Common App applications, how to write their essays, how to basically fill out their CSS profile on time, what documents to attach, and what universities to try to get into, and what college list a student needs to make based on his circumstances and his assessment. So thank you all for your kind listening, and we're gonna make the second part of this video is gonna be focused on postgraduate scholarship and financial aid. But I would like to reiterate this fact that a great number of 100% scholarships are available for undergraduate students, and no student who has worked hard on his education, or his profile, on his SATs, should miss on these opportunities. So take time out, think about this, and apply at the appropriate time. The appropriate time being your AS, or even if you're taking a gap year, then you can apply after your A2 or your inter-examination. But getting a scholarship and a financial aid is a very daunting process, and getting into a US university or a top ranked US university can be very difficult. So for each and every student, I do say this in most of my videos, you need to start early on. Your parents, you yourself, your siblings need to be aware of a lot of things that you need to start. Thank you very much.